All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Yes, good evening, and a warm welcome to all at MESC Red Devils NCR. I'm Delvin, and I have Mudit Bhai and Anshuman Bhai with me. Hello, gentlemen. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, was there a match yesterday? I did hear that there were United and Liverpool were playing away. So, but we've come back. We are on the back of arguably what has been our worst defeat of the season, as well as our worst defeat in Premier League history. Uh, we've for all those who have not watched the match, I guess there might be a fair few. We lost 7-0 to Liverpool yesterday. A very horrific result if you take the result on face value, but then it's much more deeper and bigger than that. Uh, Anshuman bhai, before we get into the nitty gritties and before we speak about what exactly and how exactly things went wrong, uh, after the game, after the final whistle, what were your first thoughts about the result, and what was the feeling like looking at that score line? What was your reaction?
So my first immediate thought was, okay, this is big, like uh, like it's a big score line. I wish I could say that I was embarrassed or I was despair, I was hating myself, or I had any kind of big negative emotion going through my body. Truth is, there wasn't, because I think after the fourth or fifth goal went in, I was just after that I'd just been like smiling. I was like, okay, this is one of those freak games. This has gone wrong, horribly wrong, and yeah, it's going to be one of those games where just the scoreline is going to be a massive one, and the people who have not watched the game, who don't follow the sport very closely, they are going to have a good time making fun of United. All of that's fun and games. It's part of the process and everything. But I did not really have anything a whole very negative thing to keep in mind that could just bog me down or anything like that. Again, you could say, okay, then Shman, you're just a very weird man in general. So you reacting this way is very, very characteristic to what you are. But yeah, I did not have a very negative reaction to this thing, big as the score is. I know that this goes down in the history books as the biggest defeat and everything. But if I'm being very honest, both of the results that we had against Liverpool last season, that the 5-0 and the 4-0, they left a sour taste in my mouth than this one did. And the context for the last season was important, and the context for this season is just as important. That as far as this particular score line is concerned, okay, it might be a very alarming one, but the match in itself was not much of a big deal, and neither in the greater context of the season as well, this is not that big a deal, uh, because the overall season has been much fine in the same way that the last season was not. So yeah, it's a match that will go down in the history books, but I did not have very negative reaction to this in general.
Yeah, very interesting outlook actually. I spoke to quite a few fans after yesterday's game, and even they shared your opinion about the fact like they just shrugged it off in spite of the massive scoreline, and they were like, all right, it's just one of those days where you have to accept that things went wrong and there wasn't much you could do about it, and just on to the next. Mudit bhai, now on a normal game, like if it was like one game a week, this result were definitely going to sting a lot harder than what it might perhaps with the current fixture calendar that we have. So, do you think that having a game for once, having a game every 3 days is actually the perfect antidote for a result of such a huge magnitude? Because it doesn't give you a lot of time to sit back and let the bad things about that result fester. Yes, there's going to be an introspection about the result, and there is the game has to be relived just because you want to break it down for the sake of it, to see where you've gone wrong. But is the game against Betis the perfect antidote to just dust yourself up and like on to the next?
Let me begin by saying that if we are aiming for the top, and if we are going to progress to that next level, and then beyond that, we have to play 3 games every 3 days, a game every 3 days. It's going to happen in the schedule that is set in European football nowadays. We can't escape it. So it's probably our first experience in a long time having so many games back to back, because we've been in so many competitions, and it showed up yesterday. It was probably an accumulation of our last three Premier League games also, because we've kind of shown that we are vulnerable in the last two games. Against Leicester, we showed that. Against Newcastle, we showed that. It's not something that's that's a secret. We are showing signs of a bit wear and tear, which is normal. But the thing is, the approach of this team in the second half was more towards trying to attack rather than defending the score that they have, a respectable one. And I don't think it's an issue. I think it's, in one way, it's positive that the team is still looking to kind of express themselves when they are so far down the barrel. But the lesson that they would probably have learned yesterday is that it's sometimes okay to just take the L and kind of limit yourselves to not make it embarrassing. As fans, we have to, or we do take majority of the shit from whatever happens to us. It's something that, I'm not saying it should be on the back of the minds of these players, but I think they should probably give an effort to understand that if we are kind of losing badly, don't go on and make it insulting. And that's what happened yesterday. Switching off is okay. They are human after all. They are playing so many games every few days. It's not natural to have such a schedule, but who are we to complain? That's that's about it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there is no point, speaking about things which are not in our control. I think till yesterday, I think we've done a pretty good job of, making sure that all the players were in optimal condition in spite of the workload that we had. So it had to show some game or the other. Unfortunately, it happened to be on the game which we dreaded, which we always dread the most. And also, Anfield hasn't been one of the best places that we've been. We've not had good memories of in the recent past. So yeah, one of those days again. So Anshuman bhai, let's get into the game. So when the lineups were announced, there were a few particular or peculiar tactical tweaks that were on offer. One of them being Bruno Fernandes on the left. Now we've never seen Bruno play on the left, and this arguably was the first time that I have seen him play. I don't know whether if he's played on the left on in
In
Sporting or whether
transition,
he was,
in
yeah.
transition he has, but not as a position.
Yeah,
As a
not as a starting position. Yes, you can take it from his time in Udinese or even in Sporting. I've never seen him start a game from the left. And another tactical tweak was playing Weghorst at the 10. Now Ten Hag has done this before, and he's done it to a relative degree of success. So, looking at these two tactical tweaks, Anshuman bhai, what were your first impressions on seeing Bruno on the left and Weghorst at the 10?
So few things. In his time with Udinese and Sporting, Bruno has played out wide. That's not a surprise. I think when he came to the Premier League, the initial thoughts were whether he'll be able to translate that kind of performances in a league which with the kind of intensity and talent it has, and the way that Ten Hag has used him out on the right, for example, sometimes I think it's a very limited sample size, but there's a very specific case in which you can use him out wide, where pace is not that much of a requirement, and if you are if you are you working a system in which you are trying to isolate those parts of the pitch and are trying to open spaces up for Bruno, in which case he could either deliver a ball or could open a space in which he can take a shot. So when teams sheets were announced, I was not expecting the team to set out this way. I was expecting what was to start be the central number 9 and occupy the centre backs. I was thinking that leaving Marcus Rashford in the form that he is in to deal with Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's defensively not the soundest. If you could just create situations in which Rashford could isolate him and just so slowly take him apart, I think that could have been very helpful. But it's very easy to say that on the back of a 7-0 defeat. But yeah, my immediate thought when I saw Paul Pegos playing as that in that withdrawn role and Bruno out wide was okay. This is interesting because against Barca, Ten Hag did it And against them, it made sense because he needed his their central midfield to be a lot more coherent in pressing. And compared to Bruno Fernandes, Weghorst is a better presser, objectively so. And having your central midfielders pressing the Barca central midfielder, a team that wants to play uh, on the ball, wants to reduce the amount of transitional chances so that Manchester United cannot take advantage of them. That made sense in theory. Against Liverpool, for me, it did not make that much of a sense. Again, very easy to say that on the back of a defeat like that, but that was my first thought. But yeah, that was it. And United, the thing we need to keep in mind is that United didn't particularly play badly. We did generate chances in the first half. The thing to keep in mind is that we didn't convert ours, and Liverpool converted theirs. And when the second half kicks in, before United can get themselves sorted out on the pitch, Liverpool scored the second. And after that, it was just Liverpool taking their chances and converting. They had 8 shots on target in the entire match. They converted 7 of those. So when we talk about it being a free game, we need to take all of this into account. That this doesn't really happen on an everyday basis, and it really does not happen because 8 shots on target, Liverpool just slapped the ball in front of the net and the ball went in. So it is one of those days where you lick your wounds, realize that okay, this has happened. If you are to say something for the United side, you could say something that Murid pointed out that after the fifth and sixth goals go in, you could maybe try and think a bit more hard about not trying to go ahead and trying to set up shop, and just make sure that this does not gets out of hand. Because when the sixth and seven goals go in, I was thinking about the score that we had against Southampton, the 9-0 one, because even that was a free game. We didn't play like a 9-0 team back then as well. It's just one of those days. It was just one of those games in which every time we slapped the ball in front of the net, the ball went in, and that's the kind of game Liverpool were having. So I was thinking that okay, maybe we become a bit more defensively oriented, because Liverpool's chances basically happened like this. We went ahead with the ball. Liverpool converted on the counter. So that was my thinking over the last two goals. I think that happened, but yeah, again, at 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, it's embarrassing all the same. It's historically important for Liverpool in this context all the same. So yeah, that was something that felt interesting. Had we won, we would have said, okay, it worked out. This in this case, it did not work out. So we can, in the retrospective, say that okay, it did not work out. Eric Ten Hag's response after the full-time whistle was interesting. He simply said it's not acceptable. In the second half performance, you can lose, but you cannot lose this way. So he said all the right things. Bruno came out. He said all the right things. So I don't think I'm that worried in the long term. Obviously, it's easier said than done. And if United don't produce any victories in the next 3-4 games, then again we'll come back to this game and say if that break, right, if this performance break United soul or confidence or anything. So yeah, but again, something that you said, Delvin, the fact that we have a lot of games coming up thick and fast means that we can just move over this very quickly. And the Betis game is quite important because again, cup competition, and it's a competition that we have a good chance of winning once again. So it's something that we are looking forward to again. So yeah, but the best way to get over this defeat is just get some more good results of in the back. So yeah. It is what it is. It's just freak result happened. Okay, let it be. Let's look forward to the next game. Overall, the season has been a nice one. As far as my expectations are concerned, they have already been exceeded. So let's just make sure that we keep building on the good things that we have been doing all season.
It's interesting that you say that we need to back this bad performance with good results. And if we look over the course of the season from the beginning, we have gone ahead and done that. So after losing to Brentford, we went on a very good run, and we produced results after that. After getting hammered at City, also we managed to get a good run of results in. Same was after that loss to Aston Villa as well. We went on a huge run, and I think we had an unbeaten run in the Premier League up until the Arsenal game. So yes, we have had setbacks, but we've somehow managed to become a better team over the course of that setback. And yeah, I think if we only need to look at this season, then yeah, I think this is going to happen the similar way. Also, Anshuman bhai, you have an admirer, or Mojo sir is a big fan of your mic. He likes the setup. He likes the setup very well, yeah. So Mudit bhai, let's talk about the goals a little. So first half, like Anshuman bhai said, United were not really bad. We did have the better of the chances, Anthony had a snapshot which was saved by Allison. Bruno should have put us ahead with that header. Rashford had a good chance, but he wasn't able to control the ball well, and he tried to hit it on the go, on the first touch itself, and he did not get the desired result. Uh, Shaw did put in a couple of delicious balls. Dalot did put in some couple of lovely balls in. Not able to, get a foothold or not able to get those chances in. And then just like that against the run of play, Cody Hakpo from the left, great finish, taking nothing away from the finish. Excellent finish, aimed into the corner. DDG otherwise also had no chance. I had a lot of fans talking about Lisandro blocking DDG's line of sight. But then, even if he had a pretty clear view of the shot, he's not saving that because it was so perfectly placed. But do you think he should have got the space to shoot in the first place? Considering the fact that a defender like Varane getting sold too easily on that dummy shouldn't have could have been avoidable on that aspect, no?
We can sit here and speak all we can with regards to what could have been avoided and what could have not. So I think for that goal, it's it kind of summarizes the result for me. That goal went in a way that we thought that we would be able to block it, or we would be able to save it, or he wouldn't probably, been able to get that shot right. All goals were like that, as I mean, except the last three goals, which we kind of gave up totally to them on a platter. So I mean, we can look at all goals and see somewhere that our players did make a mistake, but that's how goals are scored eventually. It's not something, I don't overanalyze goals in a way that could, l- look like it's our fault or it's their excellence. Goals go because they have been attempted, and eventually it reaches the back of the net. That's the definition of a goal. I mean, over analyzing it, it's weird for me. So I won't be analyzing the facts. Having said that, conceding a goal right at the beginning of the second half is what lost us the match, because I was kind of confident with the fact that in second half we turn up. So the first few minutes after the first half is something that has to be very crucial for us going forward in every game, no matter who the opposition is. It's probably also that time in our season that we've been the most vulnerable, like conceding exactly after, like, in the first 5 or 10 minutes of the second half. Whenever we've conceded in the second half, it's been in that area itself, in that time area itself. So I mean, I can't define this loss, to be honest, Delvin. It's just bad one to take it, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, no one would be able to, address the loss exactly because just only for the sole reason that it was such a momentous fixture, and these fixtures always tend to have a lasting effect. If you ask me, while Liverpool not exactly out of the race for top four, they wouldn't mind giving up top four only for this result. Like, they wouldn't mind even if the rest of their season just goes down in the dumps. They'll not mind. They'll always have this game, and that is where the sting happens. You always stung. Like, that is the only reason that the defeat is difficult to take. On a whole, if you look at the Eric Ten Hag project, I don't mind. Like Anshuman Bhai said, this is just a day where you just shrug your shoulders and move on to the next. But only because of the fact that it is such a momentous fixture, that's why it just stings a little. Uh, Anshuman Bhai, Wali Bhai in the stream makes a very interesting comment. He speaks about freak results and gives the Argentine example. So when Argentina lost to Saudi, they themselves were on the back of a 37 game streak, and then they ended up losing to Saudi, and but they ended up winning the World Cup in the grander context. So this is one of those. But then, if you look at our games away, we've not had the best away records, especially when it comes to sides in the Big Six. We drew to Chelsea, a one-all draw. We've shipped six past City. We've shipped three past Arsenal. Arsenal have shipped three against us, and now the 7 goals conceded against Liverpool. So, do you think that could Eric Ten Hag have that touch of pragmatism when it comes to big away fixtures, or is this approach the perfect way to go? Because if you see the Liverpool game where we played at home, after the first two games, when Eric Ten Hag had a clear idea of that style not working, he resorted to a pragmatic approach, and then we did get the result what we wanted in the end. We did end up winning 2-1 on a solely pragmatic performance where Ten Hag played to our strengths, the transition, and we managed to cause a lot of trouble to Liverpool then. So, do you believe that in games such as these, where the stakes are a little high and when it is on enemy turf, do you believe a touch of pragmatism is necessary, no matter whatever your principles or ideals are, especially up until the time where you just get a clear footing in the game?
So I think in as far as the Liverpool game is concerned, I think he went a bit too pragmatic because I talked about the example of how he started Weghorst and Finance out wide, and my immediate thought was, okay, this wasn't really necessary because Liverpool are coming into this as the team that are slightly on the down. Last season, Liverpool were the team to beat, and we were the team that were being beaten around left, right, and center. This time the stakes had completely changed because so we are the team that are on the up. We are the team expected to play better football. We are the teams expected to be the slightly better team. So you didn't need to hand the initiative to Liverpool the way we did. And I would just say that leaving Rashford out on left and asking Trent Alexander-Arnold to deal with him, having a midfield of Casemiro, Bruno, and instead of Fresh, maybe Sabitzer, and creating through them because their midfield has not been working. And Liverpool are in a situation where a stretch of injuries, coupled with the fact that the psychological drain of last season had on them, snowballed into a set of very bad results, and Liverpool are now in a situation where they are just down in the dumps and are slowly building themselves back because the business end of the season is upon them. So they are in a situation in which they needed to prove that they could handle United or not. And instead, we went into the way we started. You could expect that we were either playing a team that was on its way to win the league, or we were playing a team that we were quite afraid of. It's again a bit more feasible to say that on the back of the defeat. But yeah, that again, the tactics were the first thing that came to my mind when I saw Weghorst in that restrained role. So again, I don't think it was required the pragmatism aspect in this game to that degree. But pragmatism is something that I'm not too worried about with Eric Ten Hag because the 6 goals where he talks about that we conceded that was earlier in the season. The 3 goals that we conceded against Arsenal need to be taken into account as much because they are scoring those goals against other teams as well. It's just one of those things that they are doing quite well this season, and it's one of those things champions do on their way to win the league. Loath as I am to admit it, it is what it is. So one of just those are the things that need to be kept in mind as well. And our recent results against top six teams, Chelsea. Okay, let's put them aside as a top six team because in general they are in this season they are not. So it's a City again. We were all there at the screening. We knew that United did not particularly play too badly. We won the game after all. So if the Liverpool result had ended in a 2-1, 3-1 victory, we maybe would not be talking about the pragmatism aspect of Ten Hag. But the way I've seen him change and adapt as well as to United's requirements after we lost 4-0 to Brentford, I am more than content with letting him figure things out. So again, it's just one of those things. We need to look forward to the next games and hope that we win. As soon as we start winning, this would end up being a one time result, and people will slowly move on to looking forward to the end of the season and what else we can achieve this season. But if we do not perform well and then end up in draws or maybe another defeats, that's when it starts affecting us as fans, and then it starts affecting players as well, which is the main part. So that is something to keep in mind. That is what I'm looking forward to. The responses of both the coach and the captain Bruno were satisfactory as much as they can be at the end of a 7-0 defeat. So I'm just looking forward to the next game and seeing United just perform as they have done normally and just eke out another good result instead of letting this result fester their mind and then completely go off road for the rest of the season.
I mean, yeah, that would be a sign of maturity. It would show that okay, we've lost, and then we've kind of got back to what we are capable of in the next game. I think that's what we should do. If this goes on into an imploding situation, it could turn very dark, especially because it's it will be considered that it began in this 7-0 loss, which is something that I don't want to happen, and which I think, as you said, Ten Hag is perfectly capable of. He's a coach more than a manager, so he knows what an athlete's mentality is and what an athlete probably goes through. He's I think he'll be able to handle it. I'm not sure how they'll respond, but Southampton, seeing the name, gives me a lot of confidence.
And also the fact that it is on Old Trafford.
Yes.
And we all know what happened. Anshuman Bhai gave us a good account of what happened in that game, which we were speaking about, as far as a freak scoreline is concerned. Paritosh Bhai, warm welcome to the stream. I hope you're doing well. Yes. It's a genuine question to ask today after 40 days. So, Paritosh Bhai, Gaurav Bhai in the stream says that he believes that the reason for the loss is that the keeping was awful and Varane was abysmal. So, if you did watch the game entirely, did you actually believe that all the 7 goals that we conceded were due to goalkeeping errors, or maybe due to defensive mistakes or so on? So I don't think that they were goalkeeping errors. I think those were just those were goals that De Gea just couldn't do anything even if he wished to. So what is your thought on this comment that with the keeping being awful and Varane being abysmal and so on and so forth?
I mean, if you look at the Salah goal, the one where I think it was Dello who was trying to clear the ball, it deflected off of another player, fell into the path of Salah just
And he just
inside
smashed
the
it, right?
area
And
and
he
just
just
smashed
smashed
it.
it.
So that sums up the game pretty much. Although there were horrid performances, Martinez was memed throughout the night, and rightly so because his performance was shocking at most parts. Varane wasn't able to anticipate 1 or 2 goals, if I remember correctly. I think the Gakko one, where he is cutting in from the left channel, there was a blunder made by Varane. He wasn't able to anticipate the run. That was one. So yeah, goalkeeping wise, I think there can be 1 or 2 goals you can say that he should have saved or something like that. But if somebody scores 7 out of the 8 shots total attempted on target, you can't really do anything about it. I mean, it's like everything is going in at that point. Especially in the last, you can say 3 4 goals. The Firmino one, the Gakko finish that was chipped over him. I mean, what can a keeper do about it? It was chipped beautifully by Gakko. It was a good goal. What can you say about it? Firmino, he smashed it in. I think out of the 7, 3 4 goals were inside the 6 yard of the 12
Yes,
yard
it was.
area.
Nunez both goals. Gakpo second. I
Uh,
think even both of Salah's goals. I think all the 6 goals after that were outside. I think all 7 goals were
only the
inside
guy,
the box. No, no,
only the Gakko goal I remember, which was like still
inside the box only. All goals were
no,
inside the box. All
not
7.
inside the not inside the box. I'm saying that I can say the Gakko goal if the keeper anticipates it, but maybe there's a chance that he can
The
stretch his
opening goal,
arm
the
and
opening goal or the chip.
no, the opening goal, which he put it on
No,
the side when Varane was
I don't think David
maybe
saves that.
no
No,
no
it was too
but maybe
accurately placed in the corner. No, it's too
but
accurately placed.
it was good, but there can be a shout that David De Gea didn't even anticipate where he was going. So you can say ki maybe the keeper could have a chance if he jumps in the right direction, if he anticipates right. Maybe, and that is me just saying it maybe. Because the rest of the goals, I don't think David De Gea had a chance. It was uh, just a barrage of many mistakes, not only from him. Even Casemiro made mistakes. I don't think Casemiro was fully fit. In the first 5 10 minutes, I saw him struggle to walk, and I was a little worried that maybe he'll not continue the whole game. Maybe it was just that players were tired. I don't know, but the feeling was of disheartened up until the third, fourth goal. Then I started laughing because it was like, okay, this was bound to happen. We were laughing too much, and
We
this is
both were.
really
We both were.
we this is the universe way of saying that hold your horses. You've not won a league in like a decade, so just chill the fuck out. You've had some good results. Take this one as well. So I think that was that. I was laughing after that. So yeah, and yeah, it feels bad, but because we, it's very sad to say this, because we've been so shit for the past few years, that result doesn't really bother me. The result that bothered me was 6-1 at Old Trafford under Sir Alex, because we were good and then we were smashed 6-1. Okay, so when you were bad and then you start getting good results, then one off bad result doesn't hurt that much, if it makes sense.
जब
I'm
लगी
like,
पड़ी
okay,
होती है ना, जब
हाँ,
पहले आदत होती है ना लगी
so
हुई होने की, तब
I am now familiar with the pain. Uh, y- so it's the Bane ka dialogue है ना. You just entered the
I was
dark
born
and
in
I
it,
was
molded by it.
born to it. वो वाला हालत है अभी तो मतलब इतने शॉक रिजल्ट्स हो चुके हैं ना पिछले कुछ साल में, तो ये बॉदर ऑब्वियसली इट्स लिवरपूल, इट्स 7 गोल एट एनफील्ड, बट इससे पहले इतने अच्छा सीजन गया है ना, मतलब आई एम क्वाइट हैप्पी, क्योंकि मैं इससे बहुत फ्रस्ट्रेटेड रहा हूँ। ये साले 3-3 गोल एवर्टन से खाए हैं, है तो मतलब लिवरपूल से एक सीजन में 7 गोल खा लिया, ठीक है ना, 6-3। हाँ, नहीं बचा पाए भाई, मेरे को लग रहा था एक आध गोल मार देंगे। आई वाज थिंकिंग दैट मे बी दे विल स्कोर 1 or 2 एंड वील गेट
दो
समथिंग
तो
आउट ऑफ द
मारने
गेम।
चाहिए थे फर्स्ट हाफ में, दो
हाँ,
तो मारने
तो
चाहिए थे, बाकी
आई वाज
चलेगा।
लाइक कि एक आध, जब 4 के बाद पांचवा पड़ा, आई वाज लाइक कि होली फक डूड, लाइक मेक इट स्टॉप। देन आई वाज लाफिंग, आई वाज लाइक ओके, व्हाट कैन यू डू
Allison
अबाउट इट?
Allison tried to give us a goal in the second half, but we didn't
नहीं,
we,
दैट इज माय,
we didn't
नहीं,
capitalize.
नो आई डोंट, नहीं, द थिंग, द व्हेन ब्रूनो's header went wide in the first half, ठीक है, and we had like another
Rashford's
chance.
Rashford's
Uh,
chance. Rashford's
Rashford's
chance.
chance. Rashford's chance, and even the ball from
Anthony's shot.
Shaw,
Even Anthony's
even the
shot.
ball from, yeah, Anthony shot, and the ball from Shaw, which was over the defense, straight into the path of Rashford, but he didn't have the time to take another touch, so he
Yeah,
took
he
it in
took
the
a first
first go,
time shot. Yeah.
uh, uh, and he wasn't able to do anything about it. So when these three things happened in the first half, and then Gakpo scored, na, I was like, maybe it's just not our day. I had my like doubts in
Reservations. Yeah.
yeah, I told you on this after the stream as well. We were talking about that we have made our predictions, but this is not looking good for us. Anfield, Liverpool coming up, we are tired. Everything was accumulating against us. So I was not very confident in the first place. Yes, I said on stream that we'll win, and I told that I am looking. It is looking like a goal fest. I was hoping for goals, but not all against us. Okay. So, so yeah, the loss hurts. It stings obviously because it's Liverpool. This is a loss which is going to be talked about for a while. We teased Arsenal about the 8-2 result for I don't know how long. We still tease them.
Still,
So this is going
still,
to.
still.
So yeah, we're going to be teased about it, especially because it's Liverpool out of all the clubs. Even Chelsea wouldn't hurt that much.
Yeah, that's what I
Liverpool,
meant when I said that we need to
Liverpool
replicate this
stings.
result somehow next
Liverpool
season.
stings different. Liverpool stings different, and yeah, if we get across like in a season or two, I don't think this will happen because we've been waiting for this 6-1 reversal for City, which hasn't happened in a decade. So yeah, uh,
Yeah.
so I don't think it is going to happen because it's a freak result. It happens once in a century. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We can hope for
Uh,
it,
very
but it's not.
interesting.
मैं
Very
एक बात बोलूं,
interesting.
ये
Oh yeah.
ये शायद इनके साथ चैंपियंस लीग में भी होगा। इतना जल्दी मिलेगा ना इन्हें, ये बहुत दुख दिया है सारा बदल।
There's a very interesting stat that the commentators put up yesterday. So in the 27 years that Sir Alex was manager, the number of games that we lost by a 4 goal margin or more were just 4 games, and
उसके बाद
in the next 10 years preceding that, we've lost 7 times. Not a huge number. I mean, considering the fact that we've been on the we've been on the receiving end of two of them last season by Liverpool only. Seven is still a small number, but then if you compare 10 years to 27 years, obviously becomes a huge thing.
also because the goal margin is so huge because it's 7-0. Uh, People fail to remember that we have not had a great Anfield outing
Record.
for a
Yeah,
long while. For a
7 years
Now,
running. 7 years now.
yeah,
7 years.
and
7 years.
even when Sir Alex was there, we were never good at Anfield. Anfield was always one place out of every stadium I can say in the Premier League, which worried every United fan. Maybe it's because of the environment, maybe it's because of the rivalry. I don't know what it is, But Anfield was one place where we weren't able to play good,
There
even
is
when
something
we were
about
striking.
that place that gives you the heebie-jeebies for some reason. It does. For
Ah,
me, it
uh,
does. For me, it does.
yeah, I think it's more to do with the environment, the how the how stadium is built, and how passionate Liverpool fans are. So I think it's okay. Same things must happen to many other teams when they face roaring Old Trafford. So yeah, uh, I think that's it. About the result, I think that's what my views are. I am not too
Yeah,
concerned for the
yeah, not
future.
yeah.
I'm not too concerned about the future repercussions. It's just that it's Liverpool and its team.
Anshuman bhai, two of the goal scorers for Liverpool yesterday, Darwin Nunez and Cody Gakpo, both of them were rumored to be United targets at some point. Uh, I think Ten Hag's ideal pursuit of a striker would have ideally been Darwin Nunez. And if I've had a lot of conversations with Mudit bhai, and I had written an article also where I genuinely believed that Darwin Nunez would have been the ideal striker for United. Now, both of them did not have the best of starts to their career at Anfield or in Liverpool in general. Do you think that the goals that they scored yesterday, uh, do you think that that could be a springboard for them to have a better season towards the remainder of the course? Because you could see that, especially when it comes to Nunez yesterday, when he got that second goal for the side, like when he scored Liverpool's second goal, you could feel that his confidence is back. There was that little bit of that swagger when you see a number nine get the goals when he intends for it to be. There was one article that I was reading, and it seemed like you quality pays. I mean, you have to pay for quality. Do you believe that had we got one of them, like how bad would have the situation is like currently in that way? Anshuman, by mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, so as far as ideal situations are concerned, I don't think neither Darwin Nunez nor Cody Gakpo is an ideal striker because neither of them is a striker. Like for Cody Gakpo played for PSV Eindhoven out on the left, and even for the Netherlands when he played centrally, he played alongside someone who was a more central striker, so he had a player to bounce off of. So neither he's a central striker nor Darwin Nunez is a central striker, and I'm not sure how close we actually were to signing Hagbo, but Nunez is definitely not a player that was happening because I said this in the April of last year when Liverpool had their game against Benfica in the Champions League, and Liverpool completely thrashed Benfica on aggregate. But in their Anfield game, I think Darwin Nunez was one of the sole performers, was single-handedly banging in goals for Benfica, almost brought them back into a tie. They had absolutely no right.
Three offsides.
Yeah, in that moment, I put out a tweet. It's still out there. I said that Liverpool are going to sell Salah and they are going to bring in Darwin Nunez, aren't they? And the reason for that was Liverpool have a strategy as to every single time they have a good player performing well against them in the Champions League, they buy the player. You look at Alisson, you look at Mohamed Salah himself when they played against Roma and Costa Simicas for Olympiacos. So
Minamino, even
they
Luis
have
Diaz,
Minamino.
even
Luis
Minamino.
Diaz,
So
Luis Diaz
Luis
for
Diaz,
Porto.
great example. So Liverpool have a very simple strategy. It works most of the time, so you don't really have anything to complain. That you get a great sample size of analysis when you are analyzing a player that has played against your team. So that is when I knew that there was a great shout of that happening. They obviously didn't go for they didn't sell Salah because they didn't really have to make a choice between them or Mane because Sadio Mane beforehand came out and said I wanted to leave. I think if Liverpool had their chance, they would have sold Salah because he would have brought in more money. So again, that's a different discussion. Darwin Nunez. The point I'm trying to make is Darwin Nunez would have been sold anyway, sold to Liverpool. Hugbo is a situation that I'm not pretty sure about because a it didn't make much sense for us, and b it didn't make much sense for Liverpool either because when they
But
went
I
for him,
think
my immediate thought was okay, they're going for him, but why? Because they have Luis Diaz coming back, they have Firmino in the stand. Now we know that he's leaving, but then you have Diogo Jota. You have just extended Mo Salah's contract. You need your front three to be, you need your front three to be flexible in a way that it can yield results. When we talk about Sadio Mane and Mo Salah and Roberto Firmino, we always remember that Roberto Firmino was basically the glue that held the midfield of Liverpool and made Salah and Mane as good in front of goal as they were, because neither of them were known as prolific goal scorers before Mo Salah's arrival that season. So that system that they had at the start of 17-18 season, in which Sadio Mane become a 20 plus goal striker and Mo Salah becomes a 20 plus goal striker, that was unprecedented for both the players. So the system gets a lot of credit. So keeping that system in mind, I was very baffled as to, okay, why did they go for Cody Hagbo? Because they have a lot of players that they need to make a decision for. And I'm guessing Firmino is just the starting, and they might go for one more player going out the door in the summer. I'm not particularly bothered about either of them having ended up at Old Trafford, because again, I didn't really know what we would be doing with Cody Hagbo, because again, not a central player. And if we are looking out for an out-and-out striker, for my eyes for medium to long term, as I've been going for on Ivan Toney for quite a while, because I look at the kind of player Rashford is, and in the form that he is not supposed to be someone who can be benched just because. So you have we have a lot of options as well. Sancho is back and he's looking like somewhere along his former self. We have already have Anthony. We have shelled 95 million pounds on him. We are not going to bench him immediately. And Rashford is in the form that he's in. Wout Weghorst is a functional replacement for the time being, and I think depending on how the ownership situation pans out, we will be in the market for investing once again whenever in the summer. So yeah, with Hagbo and Darwin Nunez, not necessarily starred out by the fact that we missed out on either of them. Because it's Liverpool, you can say, okay, we ended up benefiting from a situation in which our arch rivals have benefited in a situation where we could have made something. Again, not really something that bothers me that much. Liverpool have their own ownership issues as well, so they have made a choice that they thought in the moment that they had the right thing to do, and we have our choices as well. And if the Qatari ownership, which seems like the likely outcome, happens, I don't think we'll be worried about the money aspect. So we might end up getting technically a better player anyway. So yeah, let's see what happens. We could have gotten either of these. We haven't. It is what it is. I for one think it's fine that we haven't, and there are better players on the horizon that we could potentially go for.
Anshuman, one final question before I let you go. Do you believe Firmino is irreplaceable for Liverpool? Because now it's obviously there, obviously out there that he's going to walk away from the club and not renew his contract. He's practically going to be a free agent wherever he goes now. Do you think that he is irreplaceable for them, considering, like you said, he was the glue that made Sadio Mane and Mo Salah the prolific goal getters that they were, and his contribution more often than not goes understated, because while Mane and Salah did take the plaudits, he was that silent, he was that orchestrator without exactly being in the public eye. How big that absence is going to be felt by Liverpool in the coming years? Or do you think that the recruitment that they did in the past two windows in the form of Nunez and Hakpo are, enough for them to, offset that loss?
I think Firmino going out the door is massive, because it takes a special kind of player to be a striker and then give everything for the team and not worry about their own numbers. Even though those numbers are not in particular bad, Firmino did a good job for Liverpool, but the better aspect of his game was facilitating the two around him. And in that regard, he's quite like Olivier Giroud, because he also felicitates his team around him to play a better football than his numbers suggest.
Who,
So
Anshuman, who?
Olivier Giroud.
I heard you.
So he will be missed massively, and I don't think there are congruent replacements for him in Cody Hagbo or Darwin Nunez. Yesterday we saw a Hagbo that played centrally, linked up with Salah and Nunez out wide. That is one potential solution, and if that works out in the long term, then you could say that this is the new forward Liverpool line going forward. But what Firmino in particular offered, not in just in terms of personality, in terms of what he brought on the pitch. Remember that he was an attacking midfielder when he was brought on from Hoffenheim, and it was Klopp who converted him into a centre forward who would play this very particular role in linking up the two wingers. So I would not be that surprised if he did something similar with either Hagbo or Diogo Jota if he sticks around. because you see Luis Diaz, and last season when Luis Diaz was playing out on the left, you had Sergio Mane playing centrally. So that was a front three with a different harmony, a different dynamic than the front three of Mane, Firmino, and Salah. So now, so the problem for Liverpool has been for a long time as to how do they replace this Mane, Firmino, and Salah trio that was aging at the same time. So Mane is gone, Firmino is going, Salah is the one they have banked on in the long term now. And their midfield is to change because Henderson and Milner cannot be relied upon for so long. If they are being relied upon for as long as they have been, something terribly is going wrong. So Harvey Elliott is coming through the door. Thiago has his injury issues. Stefan Bajcetic has offered himself as a long-term replacement. Fabinho, I think it's more of a one-season issue. I think he'll be fine in general, but again, a number 6 is something you need to find in the long term because he is reaching 30 years of age as well. So Liverpool, keeping in mind that Liverpool need to also make big changes to their midfield, then it becomes even more important as to how they go about fixing their front three, because you may not have an identical replacement in Mane, Firmino, Salah for your front three, but it's important what kind of relationship you end up generating with the midfield, and the fact that the midfield itself needs to be replaced quite heavily makes Liverpool's job a lot more tougher. So I think it will be a bit of while before Liverpool end up reaching that peak Liverpool that we saw in the 1920 season and in the 18-19 season that won the Champions League, the 1920 season that won the league by 99 points. So that will take, I think, a couple of seasons. Granted, the fact that the ownership situation remains relatively stable, their backroom changes are something also that needs to be kept in mind, which completely shifts their dynamics regarding their investment as well and their recruitment as well. So we'll see how that pans out. But for the time being, I think they have a relatively stable solution. I think Cody Hagbo is someone who is taking those instructions quite well from Klopp at the moment. And like you pointed out, the fact that both him and Nunez got a brace last night will provide them as good a platform as they could have asked for in the predicament Liverpool are currently in, because Hagbo arrived mid-season and he's been considered a bad signing. I don't think he has played particularly badly. I just think that Liverpool themselves have been so subpar that every player looks bad at the time. Darwin Nunez himself is not a bad player. His numbers are not bad at all, but he's an 80 million player, so he'll be judged accordingly. And because he has long hair and he was coming to a top two side, so everyone just started comparing it with Holland, which was stupid in the first place. So that the fact that comparison fell apart very quickly, there is no surprise there as well. So yeah, Nunez's season has been good as far as these numbers simply are concerned. He's 23 years of age. Give him some time, as Cody Hagbo will be fine as well, I think, because if the last night's performance is anything to go by, I think these three will be able to gel. But how these three work in tandem with Liverpool's midfield and what becomes of Liverpool's midfield, it will be again the go-to problem for them going into the summer.
All right. Thank you so much, Anshuman bhai. Thank you so much for giving your time. Thank you so much for speaking about the game and speaking about everything that we discussed upon. Do take care of yourself, and hopefully I'll see you very soon in another one of our streams. So thank you once again, and hope you have a great day, Anshuman bhai. Thank you so much for joining the stream.
Take care, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye. Mudit bhai, after a long pause coming to you, we've already got the aftermath of what has happened past the game. So like we had a brief discussion about Ten Hag speaking the right words, Bruno Fernandes going on and making the right noises. Now Shaw has come out and spoken about the fact that we will be certain of having a positive response against Betis on Thursday night. If a lot of almost the entire squad came to training well before the stipulated 9 a.m. time that was given to them. So if you are Ten Hag, it's a massive loss against one of our most bitter rivals. There is another key game coming 3 days from now. How exactly do you tackle this situation? Surely you cannot give them you cannot do the 20-kilometer run that they did after the Brentford loss. There is just no time for that. You can't go too hard on them, considering the fact that it is still the psychological scars perhaps would still be tender and fresh in their minds. So how Ten Hag mitigates this, in such a way that player confidence is further not dented, and that the aftermath of this loss also does not fester long enough for our season to get derailed.
See, first of all, I don't think we should always be considering the players aspect and their mentalities aspect when we discuss such situations after such a big loss. They've suffered a 7-0 loss. They know what they've been through. The manager has stood on the lines. He's made a plan for a whole week. He's set that plan in motion. His tactics have been probably informed. Of course, it has to be informed to the team what they want. It is briefed always. The team has been coached by him. So there have been a certain set of instructions that were not followed. And I don't think anyone can tell that they did not expect Liverpool to turn up at Anfield and attack. They will obviously attack at Anfield. They always do. It doesn't matter who the opponent is, which is credit to them because that's what their policy at home has been. So if we back up like 3 days before this game, the pre-briefs, the small briefs that come out, looking at their game, trying to analyze what they do, obviously it has all been done. So Ten Hag, I support the team, I support the manager, but Ten Hag, I don't think is at fault here for his decisions, for whatever substitutions or whatever team selections or whatever formation. ठीक है, एक formation में I agree in terms of Rashford. I do agree with that fact. But the thing is, if you are entering into this game and thinking that you probably will hold them as you held other teams away and then nick out a result, you've been mistaken. And I do agree that that was something that he did not expect in the first half. In the first half, we were good. He was going for the kill. He understood the assignment. He probably told his players to express themselves. They did. And then conceding that goal. And in the second half, I'm at halftime as a manager who has a positive approach towards the game and who's trained the team in such a way that they can probably make a result here. He would definitely tell them to attack. That's what his mentality is. But in not in a way, that's what I feel, that it should not be in a way that could kind of what do you say, break their formation or break their original way of playing. It was not something that I expected, but it's okay. Ten Hag traditionally has been a risk taker, even from his days at Ajax. He's taken risks left, right, center. Some have paid off, some have failed miserably, and I think this was it. This was the one that failed.
Yeah, I mean, rightly said, Mudit. But I was not exactly blaming the manager. I
No,
was
no,
just
no. I
asking.
mean, he is to blame. I'm not saying no. Everyone is to blame. All players who played and the manager is to blame. This is a defeat of extraordinary proportions. So of course they will take the blame. That's not a problem. But it's like when a certain system is working for you, make it work till the time you're exhausted of it.
Correct.
That's what I
Uh,
feel.
Paritosh bhai, speaking about the top four race now in general, up until yesterday, I had said that United were the big winners coming out of that game week because of Spurs and Newcastle dropping points. And but now things become a little more interesting. Liverpool find themselves 7 points behind us, seven again, and Mudit, I got the joke. And they are just a few points away from Spurs and Newcastle.
One game as well.
One game in hand as well. Yeah. So how how do you think that the result yesterday opens up both the third place and the fourth place, or do you still think that it's only the fourth place that is up for grabs at this point?
I mean, if a downfall starts from here on, obviously the place also opens up. But I don't think that will happen. I'll just want to have a remark on the previous argument that whether Eric Ten Hag is to blame or not. Eric Ten Hag obviously is to blame, uh, not for the loss, but for not being smart when they are already losing. You'll even if you are losing 3-0 or 4-0 at Anfield, I think it's better to say, okay, maybe it's just not our day when things are not going in your favor because your team has tried. It's not that they have been poor from the get go. It's just that when they were good, nothing happened for them, and the opposition scored when they got their chances. So he's not if he's not changing the formation uh, in a way, like he's not bringing in Sabitzer then and there, he's not uh, having some kind of defensive approach like uh, what Mourinho did. If Mourinho is losing 3-0 or 4-0, he'll just say, "Park the bus. We are not conceding more." So I think that should have been the approach, even if you're losing. Even if you're losing, you try to damage control, especially against a team like Liverpool, because you know the significance of this particular loss. Losing 7-0 to Aston Villa, which Liverpool did, 7-2 to Aston Villa, which Liverpool did, and losing 7-0 to Liverpool at Anfield for Manchester United, they are two completely different results. Although Aston Villa smashed them 7, that doesn't hold that much significance for Liverpool. But Liverpool smashing United 7-0 is of bigger significance. So I think that is where Eric Ten Hag needs to also take the blame. Obviously, the fault is of the players who went into shock mode once the goals started coming in from the second half. As soon as we conceded the second goal straight after the whistle blew in the second half, the players never looked the same. Although there was a particular patch in the game, I think after the fourth or fifth goal, when we created a chance or two when there were like few instances where United looked like they were going to fight back. They were never able to recover, and part of the reason is Eric Ten Hag and his inability to change the tactics, his inability to change his thought process of not always going for the attack. If you're losing 3-0 or 4-0, I think it's safe to say that the game is done, especially in a Premier League game. If it's a Champions League game, things are different. If it's a knockout game, you try for the 90 minutes. But if it's a league game at Anfield against Liverpool, the things are different. I think that's when things change. Also, coming back to your question, Delvin, uh, I think uh,
You
I'm
forgot the
not quite.
question, didn't you?
No, no, I remember, but I'm just garnering my thoughts because I have strayed so far away. Yeah, what exactly are you looking for? I'm not able to get.
My question was after this result,
No, no,
you did forget the question.
no, no. After this result, I remember the question. I'm just like after this result because
do
I've
you
already.
think that do you
I'm
think
thinking.
that the do you think that the race is only for fourth place, or is it both third or fourth place after this result?
No, because I was asking because I've already answered पहले ना कि third place वाला कि third place I don't think is open if United if United go on a downfall then it is open obviously, but I don't think that will happen. That's what I said na,
Yeah,
at the start.
yeah.
So
All
I
right.
was asking कि उसके अलावा whether you're looking for anything in particular
No,
or
no, no.
do you
This is what I wanted to know. So
yeah.
I just got news that after the seventh goal, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim just blocked Abraham Glazer's number, and
Oh, fuck this shit. Not
because he
going.
was because he was constantly giving them missed call after missed call to buy the club.
ब्रो फॉर्म में चल रहे हैं ब्रो फॉर्म में चल रहे हैं देख लो कहीं और भी हो सकती है डील मतलब देखो मेरे को और भी ऑफर्स हैं
Very
जो
hilarious,
हाँ,
yeah, very 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 interesting. I think this is I think the mindset of the United fans for the first time has been upbeat in spite of the beating that we have taken. So the
I
takeaway
don't know
from here
man I
is
don't know especially with the group that we are in people were salty they were mad I was like
yeah. I
okay
mean,
man
there will obviously be a little bit of saltiness. I mean, for me, yes, this defeat will definitely for a few days hit harder than my dad's belt, because it was because it was a massive result, for them. Like I said earlier in the stream also, that Liverpool
Acha,
fans won't.
interestingly, one of my friends, one of my school friends, who is a Liverpool fan, we always have a banter between us, and we have not talked for the whole season because everybody is busy in their lives right now. He messaged me after the defeat, like, what happened, man? Throughout the whole season, you were quiet as a fucking turtle, and now you are talking. Yeah, finally you have some life inside you, huh?
This
You
has been the case of
say,
Liverpool fans across different groups. So it is not a one-off
it's like
isolated incident.
I was not even mad. I was not even mad. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, you finally have your day.
the,
It's okay.
the biggest surprise is Chelsea fans coming out of their hole after this. So a
Everyone,
lot of
everyone. Arsenal fans were
No,
jumping. That United fans.
Arsenal fans are fine. I mean, because they're top, they
You,
have every right to gloat. They'll jump in like every like Begani Shadi mein Abdullah Diwana. They're going to jump in everything and anything.
why is
Solely because of
Chelsea?
their
But
table position. Yeah, why
why is
Chelsea is the biggest?
Chelsea?
Exactly. Yeah. So all in all, disappointing result, sure, but very upbeat atmosphere. Never seen a united front on a lot of the fan bases. Because of the positive atmosphere that is there.
And
So
also the
this
fact
is
that there is no one going for Eric Ten Hag's head.
obviously no one
After
will.
7, no,
He's
because
had
if any other manager 7-0 defeat would have been like for a manager who has been here 7 months, a 7-0 defeat
uh,
to Liverpool
yeah,
would have
Parkers
been
That,
bhai,
would,
that's also what Piers Morgan thinks, Parital.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm hearing a lot of sevens, United 7 points ahead of Liverpool, 7-0,
then it's
the
like,
highest,
why is this
biggest
number not
margin.
leaving me?
Yes, why is
Why
it?
is this
Yeah, exactly. So seven shots on target also.
8 on target, 7 goals. 8 only.
Yeah, sorry. So this game was nothing short of a statistical anomaly. This is something that is never going to happen for a long, long
Even
time.
I am not a someone who is big on the analytics and XG and everything. The XG merchants, as they
Two
are called on
points,
Twitter,
2.98
they
or
were quite,
something.
yeah. They were like, how is it possible? Like, and the whole, uh, every other fan was slating them as well that you don't know football. This is not played on paper and stuff. I'm like, dude, everybody is having a field day. It's okay.
I remember Jose Mourinho had this quote out. People who don't understand football talk about stats. Yeah, this was a genuine comment that Jose made. So yeah, but then I think the only takeaway from here is just chin up. Still a substantial amount of
What
the
can you
season
do?
left. Yeah,
Hmm.
nothing else. You just shrug your shoulders and move on. Like this, you just laugh at the pain. Yeah, by the way, you're speaking, but you're on mute.
Because this is a performance because this is a performance based
भाई कल सोए
activity.
कितना लगे सर?
ना
I
मैं तो
slept
मस्त
at
सोया भाई
1:30. I slept at
मैं सो
1:30,
गया
but I
था
slept well. Yeah, even I slept
पूरा
well.
हाँ मेरे को नींद मैं मस्त था भाई मैं मेरे को इस बात की खुशी थी मैं स्क्रीनिंग पे नहीं गया मैं घर
There,
चला गया मैं भाई
there
मैं
was
मजाक नहीं कर रहा हूँ अगर मैं स्क्रीनिंग पे जाता और इतना बुरा पिलती टीम है तब मुझे रोना आता कि मेरा पैसा भी खर्चा हो गया मैंने इतना ट्रैवल मैंने ट्रैवल भी रोक दिया अपना क्योंकि आई वुड हैव स्टेड बैक इन दिल्ली स्पेशली फॉर द स्ट्रीम अगर ऐसा कुछ होता तो क्योंकि मैं घर आ रहा था तो आई
there
वाज
was a
लाइक अगर
very
मैं स्क्रीनिंग पे और तब ऐसी
so
टीम पिलती तो तब मेरे को बुरा लगता तब आई वुड हैव बीन क्राइंग लेकिन तब एक तो टाइम बर्बाद पैसा बर्बाद और टीम भी हार गई है व्हाट द फक
there was a very interesting tweet that I came across. So the tweet, the United plug put out a Shaw's response after the game saying that Ten Hag is going to show us the game and we'll have to go through the embarrassment. So there's this one Man United supporter, and that guy has the defeat has rattled him so much that the man has literally removed out a quote from the Bible. And the quote reads, "The righteous man will stumble 7 times and get up, but the wicked man will fall on the first time of asking." I have the screenshot of that. I will send it to you guys later. And I have sent it to all my groups. The defeat has hit him so hard that my man has literally quoted a verse from the Bible. And I can attest to the fact that this is an actual verse from the Bible because I am a Christian myself. So
when
this
the
verse is
defeat
actually
when the
this
sadness
verse is actually there.
when when the sadness hits you so hard you turn to God because that is the only way your pain can be lessened.
My brother in Christ.
My brother in Christ. उसको नीचे लिख रहे लोग उसको नीचे लिख रहे लोग कि भाई तू तो हिंदू है क्या हो गया गीता पढ़
No, he's actually a Naija
अच्छा
brother. So yeah, he's
अरे
actually a
यार
Naija
मेरे को
brother.
This joking,
So,
man.
Mudit bhai, Paritosh bhai, and Anshuman bhai earlier, thank you so much for joining in the stream. Yes, it was hard to talk about it, to talk about the game in isolation, but then, all in all, pretty entertaining to say the least. Had a good time. For the first time, we are laughing at our pain, and in a good way, not in a bad way. Yes, the aftermath still stings. I can see it on Mudit bhai's face clearly.
I just
And
checked
yes,
the
it
What are the
remaining.
next games? The
I
next
just
few
checked the
games
remaining. I just
we
checked
are
the
playing.
are
remaining.
We are playing Betis on
uh,
Thursday, and the next Premier League game is
Southampton.
against Southampton. Yeah. So these
Southampton,
are
then
our next
Newcastle,
two games.
Brentford. So we have a good run of games. It's like Southampton, Newcastle, Brentford, Everton, Nottingham Forest,
Fulham,
Chelsea,
Fulham in
Tottenham,
the FA Cup also. Fulham in the FA Cup also.
Fulham in the
It's
FA Cup,
only
Spurs,
PL.
Villa. No, this is only PL, right? So Spurs, like Aston Villa, West Ham. So we have a good run of games. We can, like, I don't think third place is up for the question. This further cements that I don't think substantial, because I don't think we have any big games left. We have played Arsenal twice. We
We
have
have to
played.
only play. We have to play Spurs away and Newcastle away. Chelsea comes to Old Trafford.
Hmm.
These are the three
So,
games. All right.
like,
So
there are points to be dropped, but I don't think majority of the games will have that much of like mental pressure on the players,
how many
especially.
kilometers did Liverpool run, Kushagra? Maybe this could be United's next punishment, I guess. The difference
I don't think they
between
are getting punished, man. I don't think they are getting punished because
no,
they have
it's
too many
just
games.
it's just a jibe. I was just joking. So,
Random
so
games,
thank
man.
yeah.
कितनी
So
बार?
thank you so much, guys, for joining the stream. It was fun talking about the game. Thank you to all of you guys for joining in the comment section as well. Uh, I mean, I know it's tough, but thank you so much for getting in your viewpoints about the game as well. It was fun talking about certain analogies and certain interpretations of what you feel. Our aim as a channel is to make sure that we reach 2,000 subscribers by the end of this month, guys. So please do join us, do support us, smash that like button, click on that subscribe button, do press the bell icon for all notifications for this channel. Every time we come up with a video, you get notified. So please do go ahead and help. Share this video to as many United fans as you can, so that YouTube Baba also notices our efforts and make sure that this video is spread across. We are also very active on our socials, on Instagram and on Twitter. Please drop us a follow there as well. I say this on every stream. Today is no different. Every day is match day on our WhatsApp group. Yesterday was match day, but then yesterday felt kind of a somber. But then, as
Feels good.
always, we did dust it. We
Feels
did
good.
dust ourselves up. We did dust ourselves up. So yeah, we would
It
want to
felt
have
like
you
a
there.
funeral.
Yeah,
It felt like
exactly.
a funeral. Some people were crying, others were consoling. So
Yeah, like I say, we are an ever growing family, and there's always room for more. So please do join us on our WhatsApp group as well. With that being said, that's all for this edition of BSc Red Devils NCR. We'll come back soon with another episode, surely, hopefully with a better result and a better situation than this. Till then, this is Mudit Bhai, Paritosh Bhai, along with me, Delvin, wishing you all goodbye. Do have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay healthy, take care.